Welcome everyone to the fourth instalment of our Back to Business virtual event. This time we're in Northamptonshire. We expect the session to be about 90 minutes long with videos, presentations and Q&A. The session is being recorded to be shared on our blogs at a later date, so you can tell your friends to catch up on the action later. We want this session to be as interactive as possible, so please use the tools to interact with each other and the panelists. You can use the Q&A tool to ask questions and keep general comments within the chat box. So take a moment to warm up by introducing yourself in the chat box. Tell us your name, share your website with us, and let us know if you use any GoDaddy products. And while you're getting to know each other, let me quickly run through the agenda. First up, our EMEA President, Irana Vasti, will tell you more about the Open to Fans campaign and run through some of our latest research. Keep an eye out for the polls because we'd love to hear from you. Then our Senior Director and Country Manager, Sakshi Anand, will interview Shalom Lloyd. She's a GoDaddy customer and founder of Naturally Tribal, a skincare company that combines natural African and other unique ingredients into innovative and enriching luxury skincare products. After that, Richard Osborne from the Northamptonshire Chamber of Commerce will be interviewed by Irana. Richard will give more information on the Chamber and the services they can offer to businesses in the Northamptonshire area. Next, Sakshi will be back to interview Susie Sanders of Alchemy Virtual Assistants. We'll learn about Susie's story and what it means to be a business owner within Northamptonshire. Finally, a huge thank you for joining us this morning. This is the fourth event in our series, so your feedback is really valuable. Look out for a link to our survey because we'd really appreciate it if you could fill this in when we're finished. It will help us improve the future events of the series. That's all from me for now, so I'll hand over to Irana who'll kick off. Thanks, Irana.
Thank you, Lizzie, and thank you all for joining us today for our North Hampshire virtual roadshow session. We expect the session to go till about midday, but since this is a live event, it might go longer or shorter. As Lizzie said, this is the fourth event that we have run in the series. The first one we did was back in the middle of August. And I think it's fair to say that things have changed a lot even since then. Back in August, I think many of us have felt that perhaps the pandemic may have passed. But I know at the moment, so much is changing every day, from new government guidelines to local restrictions. And I'm sure most of us on this call don't even know what the winter will bring. So with that, before I begin, I just want to pause and say that I hope that you and your families continue to stay healthy. It's great that so many of you have been able to join us today. As Lizzie said, we have an action-packed agenda with lots of opportunities for live Q&A, so get your questions ready for our guests, Susie, Richard, and Shalom. You can use the Q&A function, which is at the bottom of the main screen. And also feel free to introduce yourself, as I see some of you already doing. Introduce yourself and your business and share your website in our chat box, which is also on the side. I know some of you are GoDaddy customers, but some of you might be wondering, who is GoDaddy? So let us tell you more about ourselves.
GoDaddy is a mirror to all the dreamers, makers, movers and shakers. And we're on a mission to empower everyday entrepreneurs by giving them all the help and tools they need to grow online and to help them get back to business. Take Clap for Our Carers, the brainchild of GoDaddy customer Anne-Marie Plass. When tough times struck, she adapted.
And the reason why I picked GoDaddy above the other providers is because of the really good reviews and saying how simple and easy to use it was. And that was exactly what I needed, something with speed and something that was easy.
She clapped her hands in gratitude for the NHS workers, and the nation followed. From the front line to online, Anne-Marie's GoDaddy website took her message to the world. Andrew Walker of Gingerbread Bakery also cooked up a storm. When setting up his business in February, COVID-19 started to take hold. So Andrew turned up the heat on his online activities and he started to gain traction. His secret ingredient? GoDaddy Websites Plus Marketing. Then there was Ruth Bradford of the Little Black and White Book Project. Inspired by her own journey of motherhood and the benefits of black and white images for newborn visual development, Ruth started her own business. During lockdown, she made the difficult decision to stop selling, but gave away free resources online, something which she says triggered the most amount of traffic ever to her website. GoDaddy, it's the place folks come to name their idea, to build a great-looking website, and to market it to the world. We champion entrepreneurs by delivering the perfect help and tools for their journey. For all the help and tools you need to grow online, GoDaddy.
Great. We want to hear from you today about what you do as a business, how you found the last 7 months, and what are your hopes for the future year and going into 2021. If you are on social media, please share your story with us and tag us at GoDaddy UK on Twitter, or find us on Instagram at GoDaddy UK, or you can share your stories on Facebook with the GoDaddy page as well. So why are we here today? Well, it's fair to say that since March, the times in which we live have been truly unprecedented. And while that word might be overused, but I think in the context of a global pandemic, it's still the right word to use to describe the past 7 months. So I want to hear from you all about how you're feeling about things. There should be a poll that pops up on your screen right now in the middle of your screen. So please share with us, what is your top business priority for the next 6 months? COVID-19 has been tough for us all. Whether personally or professionally, we have been forced to adjust. And I know our guest speakers later today will share how they have faced these challenging times and how they have adjusted and what advice they can share with all of you. As the furlough schemes come to an end later this month and the situation continues to evolve in the UK, we will all have to adjust to new measures and changes in the ways in which we live, we do our business, we run our everyday lives. So with that, let's see the results of the poll. So for the question, what's your top business priority for the next 6 months? We actually got quite a nice split across the response. The number one priority is increasing sales at 28%, but it's closely followed by a priority of improving my online presence. I think, again, operating the business in today's world and finding a ways to connect with your customers, to drive the sales, to bring people to your business, which is now has to be all virtual and online, is definitely tricky. And I hope our session today and some of the demos you're going to see today and the Q&A with our customers, as well as British Chamber of Commerce, are going to provide you with some advice to get going. Way back in April of this year, when we were in mid-lockdown around the world, GoDaddy launched an online community called Open We Stand. If you haven't seen it already, please check it out. It's an online hub for small business owners concerned about their customers and their employees' well-being and safety, and for everyone who stands with a small business. If you haven't already had a look, we put the link in the chat. It has resources, it has inspiration, and ways to connect with other everyday entrepreneurs who may also have creative ideas and solutions of how they are adapting to COVID-19. We at GoDaddy wanted to know how microbusinesses are faring in the UK. You may or may not call yourself a microbusiness, but by definition, a microbusiness is any business with less than 10 employees. We wanted to understand the issues that are affecting you and how that data that you provide back with our surveys compares to the survey results we've seen for the past couple of years, 2017, 18, 19. And therefore, how can we support microbusinesses and the role you will play in the recovery from the impact of the pandemic? Don't worry, we don't have any slides for you. We just have a video that summarizes our findings. We conducted a national research and localized research for the area, so for Northamptonshire, to paint a picture of how microbusinesses are faring. So let's see what research we want to share with you today.
These are challenging times, challenging for all. Everyone has felt it, as have small businesses across the country. Yet in the darkest moments, light can be found. GoDaddy research into small businesses in the UK reveals cause for optimism. We looked at official data about the number of new micro businesses launched in the UK between 2017 and 2019, as well as regional and local authority breakdowns of new micro businesses launched in the UK between 2017 and 2019, and GoDaddy data about new ventures launched in 2019 and 2020. The outcome? We discovered micro businesses are thriving in parts of the UK. To understand the state of the nation, GoDaddy reviewed different data sources. The findings highlighted 6 hotspots in new micro businesses from 2017 to 2019. And all 6 areas have experienced accelerated growth in new ventures in 2020. These trends are fascinating. They're encouraging. And GoDaddy is proud to support the UK's micro businesses. Take Linda E. Since lockdown, the presenter on Pulse 88 has been broadcasting from home using Zoom for podcasts. An event host, performer and self-professed professional heel wearer, Linda E. embodies the entrepreneurial spirit, and she shows off to the world with her GoDaddy website. Then there's Callum and Aaron of the award-winning healthy fast food service Hunger Foods. When COVID-19 struck, they stopped trading, furloughing themselves. But rather than dampen their appetite for success, it fueled their entrepreneurial hunger. The business bounced back in July. Having cooked up a sweet new website, the venture is now looking to move toward a delivery format for meal service. These businesses are the epitome of the UK's dreamers, makers, movers and shakers. They are the epitome of the spirit we identified in the hotspots around the country, which, during the lockdown, continued their growth trajectory. From Caerphilly to Warrington and Salford to Wellingborough, these suburban powerhouses are rising to the challenge. Down the M1 corridor, there's been a rapid growth across a diverse range of sectors. Travel to the northwestern powerhouses, which saw high growth outside the traditional city centres. Now take a trip to South Wales, which enjoyed the fastest growth from a small base. Take a detour to the Southeast Passage, where service sectors are booming by the sea. Buckle up and drive to the Birmingham surrounds, which boast high growth in the outer city regions. The final stop on the journey is central North London, where districts are bustling with micro businesses. It is tough starting your own business, and for many 2020 has been even tougher. But micro businesses are resilient. They are innovative, and they have shown the determination to survive the impacts of the pandemic. Our survey underscored this resolve. We asked micro businesses what impact COVID-19 had on them. 50% said despite the impact of COVID-19, they expect their business to continue, and 35% expect their business to thrive, with 70% believing their business will recover fully within 12 months. These optimistic comments come despite 38% of UK businesses temporarily closing their doors. And for over a third, the outlook is promising. 39% of businesses confirmed in the GoDaddy research that they are continuing to invest, with 1 in 10 planning to invest more over the next 3 to 5 years because of COVID-19. Micro businesses are a critical part of the nation's economy. They will play a key role in recovery from the coronavirus pandemic. GoDaddy is hosting 6 virtual roadshows across the country. With more micro businesses being born, GoDaddy is launching a new mission to help the nation's entrepreneurs rebuild and thrive, helping them to develop their online presence and engage with customers digitally. Together, we can and we will do this. For all the help and tools you need to grow online, GoDaddy.
So as you saw in the video, we identified 6 areas in the UK that you may or may not expect to be the thriving microbusiness hubs. The hotspots we identified are not the typical inner city hubs. They're truly all over the UK. They show the diversity of your businesses, how innovative you are. It was 96% of all businesses in UK being micro businesses. It's also clear how important you are to the recovery of the economy post-pandemic. One of the most interesting national statistics for me was that entrepreneurs are continuing to defy all odds. And as GoDaddy data finds, micro businesses birth, so the brand new ventures that started, rose by 14% during lockdown earlier this year. And as for your region, this region, Northamptonshire, 2 areas stood out compared to the rest of the country. Wellingborough is the fastest growing area for business birth in the entire country, with Corby ranked 3rd on the list. Before we go any further, I want to hear from you all again. Another poll. Let us first know in the chat box how you feel about those statistics and the optimism that those statistics show. And in the poll, I'd love to see where all of you are joining from. Since this is a virtual event, we might have folks joining from all over the UK. Another interesting statistic from our survey results, is that between April and June 2020, at the height of the coronavirus outbreak, one of the areas with the highest number of new entrepreneurs was Milton Keynes, which saw new businesses grow by 29%, which is double of the national average. So let's see those poll results. Wow, this truly is a virtual event because the majority of the people are from everywhere else in UK other than the areas that we've highlighted. But we also got really nice presence from Milton Keynes, and we've got really nice presence from Wellingborough as well. Thank you all for joining from wherever you're joining, and I'm really glad that a virtual event was able to bring all of you together. Over the last 2 weeks, we conducted local polling that shows a level of concern within the small business and entrepreneur community in your area. Over a third, so 37%, said they would need government grants to continue to be operational. And 38% are most concerned about renewed COVID-19 outbreak and the impact it would continue to have. We have Susie Sanders with us today. We also have Shalom Lloyd with us today, and joining us later in the session to talk about what it means to be an entrepreneur and a small business in the Northamptonshire. Let's hear from you again. Another poll, another quickfire poll. What support do you believe your business needs most to help aid future growth? And while you're voting in the poll, let me tell you what I found to be most challenging and inspiring during the 2020. Well, for me, I found those few months back when we were on the lockdown and the schools were closed, the offices were closed, I found it really challenging to continue to be able to work and engage with my team at work while also homeschooling my 2 boys with my husband. I am very grateful that the schools have reopened since and my kids were able to go back to school while we continue to run our business from our homes. As to the second part of our question, what inspires me? I'm totally inspired by our GoDaddy customers. People who have set up new businesses over lockdown, people who had to pivot their businesses during lockdown to figure out how to run their business online, or those who have taken that first step towards opening a business by just registering their domain or building a website. It's been a really hard year for everyone in many different ways, but hearing from our customers always inspires me every day. Let's see what the poll results show and what support do your businesses need most to help aid future growth. The number one, the clear winner in the poll results is developing and improving an online presence, followed by developing and enacting an effective marketing strategy. Again, as very similar to the poll results before. I do hope that as we continue on with our webinar today, you will get additional hints and tips and be shown additional opportunity of how to enhance your online presence and how we can help you with that. Thank you for the feedback. Some of you may be online today already. Some of you may not be online. You might be a new business. You might be an existing business. But either way, we want to share the tips, as I mentioned, based on our experience to help show you how to get online and how to make your website work for you. That is your online presence. So let's take a look at another video and let's hear from our own GoDaddy Care Guide, Louise Brightman, who will talk to you a little bit more about your website and online presence.
My name's Louis. I've been at GoDaddy for over 3 years, working in Nottingham, but at the moment work from home, as you can see, from a dirty kitchen. My job is to help GoDaddy customers to get online and figure out how to build their websites and basically put their dreams online. Our website builder is designed to have everything from one easy to manage portal. So you've got your Get In site, which is essentially a tool to help you get found online, whether that be on Google or your own social media pages. It can be a bit daunting to wonder how you get your site up the ranks. We have a tool that literally walks you through step by step how to add in your keywords, tell the website what your business is about, what you're trying to achieve, and the website's going to guide you through that step by step, almost holding your hand through it. GoDaddy have made their platform so simple and easy to use, and they've got these pre-made templates that are designed to be attractive and stand out online. So you're not going to be doing anything IT related. You're just going to be mixing and matching your templates, choosing what suits your business best, and then going with that. One of the best ways to promote your business is on social media. So our website's designed to connect through all your social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, Google My Business. All of this you can do from your website builder dashboard. So you won't need to be going from place to place. You can set it all up from your one hub here. And once that's all set up, you've got your Facebook presence, your Google presence, all linked into your beautiful website. It's going to give you that kickstart that you need, whether you be an existing business or a brand new one. I've got a website of my own with GoDaddy. Every time I log in, I have a dashboard, and it will tell me everything. It does all the spying for me. It tells me how many people are looking at my website. If I've got an online shop, I can even see the website will tell me this person was looking at your product and they decided not to buy for whatever reason, and also gives me the opportunity to then reach out to those people. I can get in contact with all these people from my one spot, so no matter where you are, if you've got an internet connection, you can log in and start managing and monitoring your website. We get all kinds of business owners who need a website. Everybody who has a business in 2020, you need a website. So like, for example, if you're a psychotherapist, if you're a recruiter, a consultant, you're going to need to set up appointments with your customers. So you don't have to be as old school as it was. You can set up the appointments feature on your website. It means your customers can go in, see your availability, book right there and then. And if you charge a fee for your appointments, you can collect the fees right there and then on your website. If somebody can go and book an appointment on your site without having to make a phone call, and you work on appointments, imagine how quickly that would be if you just get a little ding on your phone, boom, off you go. GoDaddy have our website builder now for 3 years, helping people to sell online. But there's even more features now built in for you to market your website and get it found, because there's that much competition going on. So we've got things like content creator. So you have a new product, you have a new style of product coming out next week. How's about we help you create a beautiful content post to put on your Instagram and your Facebook to promote the product. One of the other easy ways to get your website found on Google is to write a little blog with a couple of posts every now and again. The website builder has this all built in. So at a click of a button, same way you would log into your social media page and post a little Facebook post, you've got the option to post a full news article on your website to let people know about company news. For example, pandemic is going on until the end of winter, so we're going to be running a pandemic discount. on our facial beauty products, whatever it may be. So I hope that's been helpful to everybody. There's loads of free help you can get over the phone with us here, including myself. There's loads of information on GoDaddy's website about how to get started. You can even get a free trial. You can start for free today and give us a call. You know, you have a full 30 days to play with the product and get to know the marketing tools and see how easy it is for yourself.
I hope you found Louis' video helpful as he demoed the capabilities of the website builder that GoDaddy provides. And of course, you can always call our customer care center and folks like Louis will be happy to help you. As I was scrolling through the chat box during the video, I noticed that we are reaching small businesses and entrepreneurs as far as Paris. So welcome, Alexander from Paris. Glad to have you with us today as well. Now, we're delighted to be joined by someone of a local celebrity in Milton Keynes. So with that, I will pass my virtual microphone to my colleague, Sakshi, and she will introduce Shalom.
Thank you, Rana. Hi, Shalom. Thank you for joining us, Shalom, as well. I know how busy you are running Naturally Tribal, so I really, really appreciate your time as well. Before we get started, and before I ask you to introduce your business and yourself, just a quick note to all our attendees. Please do pop in your questions in the Q&A section of Zoom as I go through the questions with Shalom as well. So welcome, Shalom. How are you?
Sashi, thank you so much for having me. I'm fine, thank you. It's great to be here. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we
Wonderful.
can hear you well. Shalom, can you talk a little bit about your business? What inspired you to start your business, and a little bit more about Naturally Tribal as well?
Yes, of course, Sashi, thank you. I'm a pharmacist by qualification and worked in the drug development industry most of my career, and never really intended to start a skincare company. And my company, Naturally Tribal Skincare, was started out of actually looking for a solution. I had gone through 4 cycles of IVF, finally had my twins, and one of them was covered in severe eczema. He was scratched and he bled. And having gone through being pumped with a lot of chemicals, I was looking for a natural remedy to soothe my boy. And I come from, great African descent, Nigeria, which I'm very proud of. So I looked at ancient remedies used on me as a child, started mixing in my kitchen, and came across the complete Eureka formula 3 days after Joshua's skin cleared. And that was really the birth of Naturally Tribal Skincare, a company born out of looking for a solution for a problem as a mother.
That's a great story, and I've been I've been using a lot of natural remedies myself, so it resonates really well. Quick question for you actually on that. What's the highlight of owning your own business, running your own business as I know you said you're a pharmacist as well, but what is the highlight of having that own business of your own?
Wow, a lot of us, I'm sure, on this call have worked for other people or continue to work for other people. When I started Naturally Tribal, I was still doing my full-time job in an industry that I still absolutely love and still working in some ways. But I think, I always say to people very simplistically, if your boss said to you, you had a report that was due out 7 a.m. in the morning, we would probably pull an all-nighter to get that report ready. So I figured if I'm willing to do that for another company, I should be able to do that for myself and even more for myself. So the great thing about being your own boss is the freedom, is the flexibility. You had the stats that Irana talked about from SMEs, right? The fact is that with everything happening, COVID-19 and the lockdown, small businesses, SMEs are nimble, we're adaptable, so we're able to pivot, we're able to slightly adjust our business model, as opposed to big companies where the operating procedures are set in stone. You have to go through 75 approval levels before you make a small change. That's the strength in entrepreneurs and strength in actually owning your own business and being a small enterprise.
Makes sense. And a lot of our attendees, a lot of panelists even actually want to start their own businesses. So question for you was, how long did it take you to bring your idea to life? And what are the steps you took basically to get it to life, actually?
I think what I do personally love about the business I have, I run two businesses and both of them were founded through personal experience. I think for me, it was purpose. Gone are the days of nice and shiny where when something is, glitzy and glam, consumers are so savvy these days, and when they scratch that surface and look behind it, there has to be meaning, purpose. There has to be something. We've all lived through it today where what we're going through impacts us, our families, our community, the wider world. So companies that are built on solid pillars, making a difference and impact, sustainability and things like that, I think have that future and longevity. So for me, starting this business was it wasn't easy. I mean, sometimes when you talk about it, people think it was straightforward and very, very easy. A lot of trial and error. And I think the focus really was, even before I went to incorporate my company, is to look at the product and almost perfect it to the point where I thought it's ready to go to market. And I think networking and relationships is very, very important so that you know who to tap into. When we start a business, we tend to say yes to everything, and I learned the hard way, certainly, but actually making sure today I stand here knowing that I've got amazing products. And then the next stage you think about is you've got this amazing product, then it can have the best product in the world. If nobody knows about it, it might as well be dead. So that's when you start talking about marketing it. How do I get it out there? Of course, we went to discovery and then manufacturing, etc. And this is where you guys at GoDaddy come in. Starting to think about your website. What do you want to look like? What experience do you want the customers and the consumers to have at the end of the day? I think tenacity, resilience, just if you believe in what you're doing, I say just jump. Some of my friends describe me as someone who jumps off a plane and I'm building the parachute as I'm falling. It's not just me, it's everyone on this call, it's entrepreneurs. That's what we do. And we're nimble enough to know if something is not working, we try a different route.
That's great advice. And just extending that a little bit, what advice would you give to somebody who's just starting out? So just had that sort of seed of the idea and want to make it a reality. What advice would you give them?
I would say keep going. That gut feeling that you have that you're on the right path. Self-belief is very, very important. When you believe in what you do, and I know there's so much to do, we're all so busy, but I always say passion is very important. If you're passionate about something, it ceases to be a chore. I always say that. It's not a chore. Just go for it. And the thing is, if it doesn't work and you feel you failed, failure is an option. To me, failure are the staircase you're climbing towards success. So just don't stop. Just keep going. There's so much resource around us. I think, another sort of entrepreneurs here will be talking later, Richard, which is all from Chamber of Commerce. Tap into the resources that you have around you. The Chamber is a great resource. I tapped into it from day one. There's advice out there, and there's tools out there to support us. So don't do it in isolation. Don't suffer alone. Tap into your network. I have no shame. So actually, I will ask anybody for support and help if I don't know.
No, that's again great advice. Very, very inspiring as well, actually. So I also have some pre-submitted questions. Let me go to them, those questions now. One of them is, who best to surround when setting up your business? And I know you touched on it a little bit as well. But I think it's a very, very, very good question because I think it's important to surround with positivity, but good to get your viewpoint on that as well.
That is a great question. It's actually because, like I said, when you first start your business, you kind of go to friends and family. And if anybody asks, you might even give away equity for, a type of service. People, very, very important aspect of the business is people. People can make or break your business. And for me, surrounding yourself and just take a step back. There's a book by a guy called Jim Collins, Good to Great. And I think it was about I might get this wrong. It's about having the right people in the right seat on the bus. So you know where the bus is going, you know where your business wants, you know, you're not going to put a conductor in the driver's seat, right? So it's about having the right people, you know. And when you think about those roles, we kind of, for the people who've been in corporate, tap into the corporate life that you had. Look at how things work. You know, you have people in communication, you have people in marketing, finance is critical, sales is critical. So look for those skills, and surround yourself with the right people, putting them in the right seat on the bus. That's what I would say.
It's great advice. Great advice, actually. What I'll do is I'll ask a little bit more about your online presence and a little bit about your business model now. I'll start with the attendee submitted question, actually. How did you get your business noticed as well, and how did you reach your target audience?
That's another great question. When I started Naturally Tribal Skincare, it was a company started, as I mentioned, for my son's eczema. So I realized that my products were all natural, chemical-free, and great for people with skin conditions, eczema, psoriasis, dermatitis, excessive dry skin, or people who wanted to maintain their skin with chemical-free products. So I basically started as being jack of all trades. I went for everyone. The beauty industry is about 183 billion market, and I was just going for the entire market. And I had to kind of really stop myself. We all know that data is king today. I work with amazing people in the Chamber and the Department of International Trade first to identify where my market is. And I kind of already knew that I should spend time on skin conditions, but there was a fear factor there. I wanted more. And today I've had to hone in my business and say this 183 billion size market, dollar size market, 19 billion of that is all about skin conditions. And out of that 19 billion, there's 3 billion for natural remedies. That's my target market. And I've had to hone in on that specific market. And once I did that, everything followed in terms of my target audience, my demographic, who I was going after. It made perfect sense for me. But at first, it was a scattergun approach. I was going for everyone. And once I did that, then the targeted, be it advertising or images for social media, you would look at it and then know that I was targeting you as a customer with a skin condition. And then for me, it's knowing your USP. Knowing your USP is so critical. Earlier on, we figured out that we had 3 pillars. Efficacy, we wanted products that work for people. The second was planet hugging. And what we mean by that is we wanted to be a brand that hugs the planet. And then third was ethical sourcing. We source our ingredients from Africa and empower women. What we found is that our customers buy from us for different reasons. So it could be the efficacy, the people with skin conditions. It could be because these guys use glass jars and natural ingredients great for our planet, the planet hugging piece. Or it could be these guys can trace their ingredients to source and are, ethical sourcing. So all that, knowing all that actually helped us build our online presence. So before you jump in and go and sort of start your website and start to put things out there, I think is to take a step back and actually know who you are. Authenticity and realness is key. Because I just thought, I want people to pick up my product and not have all this language they can't read or understand. Simplicity, just being real. That's what the world we live in right now really appreciates. And that's the route we went down. So our online presence is getting stronger. Once we did that whole targeting, it meant that we could actually then raise awareness. I think in the video you talked about blogs, talk about, things that Information is power, particularly when it's your area of expertise and it's selling your product. Sometimes it's not in the customer's face. It could be Eczema Awareness Month. It's all to do with skin conditions, but you're not focusing on, oh, here I am, use my product. You're understanding what the customer is going through. Sorry, I'm going off on one, but
no, makes sense. No, very clear as well, actually. Very clear that I think authenticity is key, and I think a lot of attendees also call this out, so it resonates with everybody. One quick question, actually, as you were talking about your website, Shalom, your website's fantastic, somebody also mentioned, and did you set it up yourself or did you have support of somebody else to set it up as well?
I didn't set it up myself. And this is, it ties into the question you had about people. Focus on what you're good at. I'm a scientist. I focus on what I'm good at. Bring in the expertise that knows what they're doing in terms of building your website. And then you can input into the content because it's yours. It's how you want to be portrayed. So we had, obviously, our head of marketing that was his role.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. And what advice would you give to people who are looking to set up a site for themselves now, themselves or through somebody else? What advice would you provide them as well?
I guess listen. The video that we watched earlier on, you can see how easy it is. And when we think about businesses, sometimes we think big. It's starting from small mom and pop shops or whatever to the bigger SMEs. I started in my home, in my kitchen. And even at that time, I didn't have a website. But as you grow, do what I guess, let's say, according to your size, grow with your business. And the tools are so easy right now, particularly with the lockdown, where we're going, where we are today. Companies like GoDaddy are now trying to even adjust to suit small businesses to make it easy for people to just go in and develop their own website. So I would say it's really what suits your business.
Got it. That makes sense. And how important is, or even was when you were starting out, a website for your business as well?
It's everything. A website is everything, regardless of where people purchase your products. So we're on Amazon, for example, right? But our website is where people go to look for information, validate that we are really who we say we are. It's where they go to hear everything that we're doing. Our website is where people go to see us virtually. So your website, I look at my website and we're going to be it's always evolving. What we had a couple of years ago is different to what we have now. As your business grows, it will evolve. As your story grows. When I first started, the story was more about my boy Joshua, his eczema, why I started this. As we evolve, it became more about the products because customers are using the products more, right? And now we're now letting the customers tell our own story. So we're always going out there begging for testimonials, video testimonials, because we're letting our customers say, this is what the impact this has had on me. So a website is everything, particularly in this day and age. We are all virtual now. The world is never going to go back to what it was before. So once, I'm hoping as I'm talking, people are going to go naturally tribal and Google. That's the first thing you do, right? And
Absolutely.
it is your face online, it is your face virtually. And don't forget that although we're talking about our region, which I love, Northamptonshire, Milton, this region is amazing, we should always look at how does the rest of the world see us. Exporting is great. Don't think that your market is only local. Your website it's a window to the rest of the world as well.
Right.
So just make sure that you're speaking to the world and not just to us locally.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Actually, talking about during COVID as well, how did it impact your business, Shalom? Lockdowns and overall this entire sort of pandemic as well. How did it impact your business? And so how did you bounce back as well? And any advice you can offer to our attendees also on that?
Oh, COVID the impact of COVID is something that word, we hear it every day. It's become the I guess the most used word in the whole world. It hit everyone, all of us, old, small. I call COVID a leveler. It's leveled that playing field and it hit all of us. But what I realize when people ask me this question about COVID is I'm proud of the brand that I've built, because when I look back, this brand was built on our story, our journey was built on sustainability. It was built on impact. It was built on ethical sourcing. It was built on all the buzzwords people are using today, right? So it has purpose, it has impact, it has substance. So when I look at COVID-19, it took us back to basics. Why did we start this company? Why did I start this company? When my son would scratch till he bled, I wanted to choose ingredients that had antiviral, antibacterial, antiseptic properties so to prevent a secondary infection. And I realized, oh my God, COVID, excessive hand washing. People need to moisturize their hands, and I've got natural ingredients that have great properties to help them once they've washed their hands. So we started to donate to hospitals, to NHS staff as well, to have moisturizers that are natural and that have great properties. So it took us back to basics, but it made us feel proud. But then we realized we have to enhance our online presence. And thanks to GoDaddy, because you guys are a platform. You know, without you guys, we wouldn't have the kind of, you know, because I'm a nightmare. Like I said, I have no shame. I'll call you customer service and be scripted down the phone. So you guys are always there to answer us. So for me, COVID has had the impact it's had. It is what it is. We shouldn't worry about we shouldn't focus on things we haven't got control over. We haven't got control over COVID. What we have control over is what we can do to actually weather the storm. And online presence has been that, where people are always online these days. So enhancing our website, pushing our online platform, whether we're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, actually directing people back to our online platform to say, buy from us online.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Lizzie's chasing me. We only have 5 minutes, and I should look at Q&A that people have popped in rather than keep asking my questions. Quick question, actually. And how long did it take you to source your natural products? And how did you handle the logistics of getting it into the UK? Are there any resources you seeked out about importing into the UK? Any advice you can offer, Shalom, on that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I saw the question. I think it's from Jamie. Great question, by the way. I'm a control freak. So for me, I traveled to Africa, came across this amazing place called the Kingdom of Esan. I only went to find where to buy shea butter, which is the base of my products. Got there and I fell in love with the place. Today, we're building a factory there to employ up to 70 rural African women. So we're controlling the end-to-end supply chain, but also employing women and paying them salaries. Now, people think importing and exporting is this huge thing. It's actually a lot simpler. This is where your Chamber of Commerce comes in. The support you need is right there.
That's fantastic. That makes sense. Let me ask the other two questions here as well. Have there been any moments where you've wanted to give up? And how did you pick yourself up to carry on?
Oh my God, it's a lot. Absolutely. I'm a mother. I'm first of all a mother. I've got 5 children. So yes, I've got 6-year-old twins. And sometimes you're just thinking, why? What am I doing? Why did I leave a cushy 9-to-5 job to throw myself into this chaos? I did a TEDx talk a couple of years ago, and I tend to go back to it and take my own advice. Start by doing what's necessary, and then do what's possible. Before you know it, you've conquered the impossible. There's 2 things I live by. That's one of them. Start by doing what's necessary, just everyday stuff. Then do what you can, what's possible. And before you know it, you've conquered the impossible. The second one is, it is better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. I'm always prepared for what sometimes I don't know, but I always seem to be prepared. So those are 2 things that I kind of think, you know, come on, Shalom, get up. What would your children say? You're a role model to your kids. Come on, get up. So, but you know what? I call it the Clark Kent moment. You know, I'm a superhero buff. I love Superman. He's my favorite superhero. You know, those points where Clark has to rip his shirt open and the big S appears. Sometimes we have Clark Kent moments and it's okay. You try to rip up and be Superman and you can't. But being Clark is all right. Being yourself is okay. And it's those moments that you recharge your batteries and just give yourself time and you'll be Superman again. It's just being kind to ourselves.
That's fantastic. And just on that note as well, how do you stay focused on your end goals?
By surrounding myself with the right people, to be honest. My husband is my anchor. He's amazing because I'm a nightmare to live with. You know, my best friend Tina gets an earful all the time. I could ring the woman at 12 o'clock midnight. I have people around me who keep me grounded. I have people around me who call out my nonsense. And I have people I rely on. No man is an island. And I just have the best people in my life right now.
Thank you. This was excellent and so inspiring. Thank you so much, Shalom, for your time as well.
Thank you for having me, and I wish everyone all the best of luck.
Thank you so much. Thanks. We'll move on to our next interview, actually, which is with Richard Osborne from Northamptonshire Chambers of Commerce, a local chamber which a lot of you are also members of and supports many businesses in the area as well. Richard is also the CEO of Business Data Group, a cloud-based business intelligence provider that supports more than 250,000 new businesses starts a year, and is also the largest incorporator of new companies in the UK. Richard will give some thoughts around how chambers of commerce are seeing things, and some practical tips as well. With that, I hand it over to Rana and Richard.
Thank you, Sakshi, and thank you, Shalom. What an inspiring interview. You are a superwoman. Between the businesses that you run, your kids that you're raising and you're being a role model for, it was a truly inspiring session. Thank you so much for that, Shalom, and I can't wait to listen to your TEDx talk as well. Looking forward to that. Also, thank you for helping us introduce Richard and Chamber of Commerce, because you've referred to Chamber of Commerce a few times. I think Richard is starting to question whether you actually are on the payroll for Chamber of Commerce,
Just done
or
my
whether
job
you
for
should
me.
be.
I'm done now, thank you.
That's right, that's right. But with that, Richard, welcome, and I look forward to our discussion. And as a reminder for everyone, because this is a live Q&A, please continue to submit your questions and we will absolutely get to them. Before we get started, let's run a quick poll to find out how many of you are actually members of the Chamber of Commerce.
I will obviously click yes.
All right, this should be a really quick poll. What do we have? Wow, 55% are members of the Chamber of Commerce, and then 23% are considering. So you've got a good contingency here, Richard. But for those, Richard, who don't know, please, can you tell us who are the Chamber of Commerce for Northamptonshire, and what support does Chamber offer to the local business owners?
So Northamptonshire Chamber's been around for over 100 years now. Originally set up to support the shoe industry around Northampton, which is what Northampton is known for. But it's really, I heard a quote the other day where we can achieve something alone, but together we can achieve so much more, which I thought was a fantastic quote and pretty much speaks about what the Chamber represents. So one of the great services there is training. There's also legal advice, HR advice. It's one of the key things is about bringing people together, raising your profile through networking, the online services through the website, social media, and even the virtual networking like what we're doing here now. So the lunches aren't happening right at this moment in time, but the virtual networking, speed networking, and Sonny, who's in the chat with his Friday wind down, get-togethers, they're all there available for everybody. But Shalom really picked on something important as well, especially with, let's mention a different word other than COVID, Brexit. With changes coming ahead there, the Chamber is really a powerful tool and resource for supporting international trade as well. So it's really around supporting businesses through all time, and now is as good a time as any, really.
Yeah, thank you. And so what have you heard from your members over the last 6 months?
It's been quite a mixed bag, because we could quote and talk about sign makers who are doing really well at the moment with supplying signage and safety screens and things for what's happened with COVID. But then we're also, a lot of uncertainty throughout the whole last 6 months of what's happening with my staff, furlough scheme, what support's available, representation, getting messages back up to government about what's needed, members coming really looking for that sort of what grants are available. There's, sometimes there's a bit of confusion in whether it's in the media or what's been sent out there. So the Chamber's a place to go to get some clarity or some advice around that sort of, sort of finance finder, government schemes there. I'd say they're really the main things. HR has been a big sort of worry for people, or to do that on staff. But also, which is why we're here as well, is, you know, what can I do now? What can I do for my business that things are changing? And that is, you know, diversification or adapting to a new way of trading as we are seeing at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that sort of opportunity and optimism, and as we've shared with the data we've conducted from GoDaddy surveys, we do see that in these hard times, there is opportunity and there's optimism along the entrepreneur, small business community. So during these challenging times, what opportunities are you spotting? Are there opportunities within your area that small businesses can pick up on to get through these challenging times and then help with the economic recovery going forward?
I think I'll sort of reference, I'll use data to answer some of that question because that's what my mortgage paying side of things is about. But as you're sort of presenting earlier and going through some of the figures that we're seeing, I made some notes to the side that sort of cross-referenced exactly what's going on around there. So you rightly mentioned there's been a growth in businesses starting up during the COVID pandemic. And when we put some context to that, we're seeing, you know, we're looking at about 20 to 25,000 more businesses a month starting currently compared to this time last year, and then going back years and years before that, or what would be deemed as normal. That's quite a significant number of startups. What's hot off the press, some people may have seen a bit of media, the news about bounce back loan fraud. So I want to sort of deal with that very quickly because there might be a misconception that a big rise in startups is based around that, but it's not, because when we look at what's going on behind there, yes, there is an element of that, otherwise it wouldn't be in the papers. But the e-commerce businesses, there's been a massive rise in businesses turning to e-commerce, online trade, online retail. There'd usually be about 2,500 companies a month starting up in that sector. We're now seeing 6,000 to 7,000, and that rise started in March, well before the government support schemes started to come along and take shape. So that dismisses some of what we've maybe seen in the media. Digital delivery of education started seeing a massive rise. That's 25% up on what it was previously. And if you think about these are opportunities that are being identified by entrepreneurs now of, you know, taking businesses online. So if somebody was thinking, I'm going to start a retail store, how am I going to adapt to that? I'm picking an obvious one here. Well, media. If I'm going to go into education, how am I going to deliver that education now? Well, digitally. Logistics powers the sort of home delivery, online retail kind of sector. And our county in this area is very, you know, right at the centre of the country and key for logistics. That's been a 20% circa rise in logistics companies already. So when you start looking down data, people are seeking these opportunities, and they're all based around what can I do digitally and how can I deliver that? And we're seeing huge growth in those areas.
That's great to hear, and thank you for sharing those statistics. It's important to ground ourselves and understand what the numbers look like. And speaking to something that you mentioned, there's actually a question in the Q&A that's related here. Is there anything you can tell us about any British Chamber of Commerce resources or advice in regards to funding a startup?
Sunny will probably be jumping in very quickly into the chat here, but what I mentioned earlier is sort of grant finding and finance finding services. So what the Chamber is able to help with is pick up the phone, drop a line through to them, and they will then help find a point, signpost you in the direction for what, if there is funding available for your business, because there's a lot of criteria for different funding, and sign it out for you. So yes, it can help. I can't off the top of my head say there is this available here, because different businesses and different sort of rules, government rules around what funding is available. But make that contact with the Chamber. So I've just seen Sunny in the corner of my eye there posted this one. So yes is the answer.
Great, thank you. And speaking of resources that Chamber of Commerce provides, let's do another poll here to the audience, and please tell us which of the Chamber of Commerce resources you would find most useful. We'll give folks a few seconds to vote.
So I'm ticking the international trade from her earlier comments.
All right, let's see the results. So we've got general business advice and support as the clear winner in terms of the resources they're looking for. Profile building services comes in second, and then followed by international trade advice. And this, to your point, in the upcoming Brexit circumstances as well. So can you further describe, Richard, the practical things that the Chamber offers, just based on what you saw in the poll results?
So general advice, if you imagine, this is one of the things when we speak to some of the account managers within the Chamber themselves, is very far wide reaching, but having somebody at the end of the line who you can call up and talk through the challenges you're facing. One of the key things that the Chamber is great for is bringing people together. So I wouldn't say the person who answers that phone will answer every question, but they can connect you to other Chamber members, or other people within the network who can bring people together and help in any other areas. If it was something relating to HR, the Chamber has a service that directly links to that. If it's management training or international trade we just covered just now, directly linked, but it's always having somebody to go to as a connector and bringing people together, and that is really what the Chamber is about fundamentally, and how what's ingrained into it from the very 100 years ago, is bringing members together, organisations together to help, support, network, grow together. It's the backbone of it.
Yep. No, that's really helpful. And we know the times have been changing, right? The only thing constant is change is so true now in 2020 as the year progresses. And there continues to be many changes to the government policy which affect businesses. Well, let's do another quick poll and then we'll answer the question of how susceptible is your business to the changes in government policy? So let's launch that poll. And maybe, Richard, while we're waiting for the poll results, can you share with us your experience of being both part of the Chamber, but also a business owner? And sort of how did you feel the impact of this current environment?
For me, ourselves, so Business Data Group had to adapt and diversify. And what it meant for us is we really started focusing on the data as opposed to starting companies up, because although there's a big rise, and we covered earlier, a lot of people setting up in business, we got contacted by various organisations we work with and asked us to help them understand what is going on underneath all these companies starting up. Who are they? What's happening? And the reason we had to look at that is because our biggest client sector is the banking sector, and as we all know, banks had to go into almost like a shutdown in the sense for new business to support civil bills loans coming out. And that was a big source of our income, but through that rose opportunity, and we found a new way of looking and providing data and information. So it's been, we go back right to the beginning, March, April time, it was really sort of unsettling time for us. And we've sort of worked through that and adapted our business. That story is not too dissimilar to what's happening with a number of the Chamber members as well. There's no way of getting around and saying it's a tough time. Many people have suffered very hard from it, and many people have done exceptionally well through this time as well. And other people are keeping their head above water. It's a consistent story, and the only way to really work through there is sort of looking for what opportunities there are, looking if there's ways you can adapt your business, then however scary those may be, you have to look at them and look at what opportunities there might be. It might be, as it was for us, a bit of diversification, and changing what it is that you do a little bit. What resources or valuable items you have within your business that you may not have picked up on before that you could monetize. Every business is different. My wedding anniversary earlier this year, there's a chamber member, Brooklyn Brownies in Northampton, moved, if we talk about moving a bit, they've moved their business online and started selling these amazing brownies online. And I was able to sort of just order a whole box and get them delivered as a little anniversary gift for my wife, because we weren't going out anywhere. And
right.
their father and son business adapted and changed from selling on the high street to shipping their goods out. It's what people need to be looking at this moment.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you for that example as well. Let's see the results of the poll. So 57% are very susceptible to the government policy changes, or actually susceptible, and then 9% are very susceptible, and 30% are not. Do you have any feedback or any thoughts about these results?
It's not a surprise. That many businesses, it stacks in with what the data that you guys presented earlier when you mentioned how many businesses in your own survey were impacted. And it's difficult to go into specific because it is so broad. But businesses with lockdowns being mentioned, I don't want to sound so negative here, so I've put a positive in there, but we have to be realistic. With lockdowns happening, COVID measures that businesses have to put in place, some businesses just cannot trade during certain environments. And then we've got the furlough scheme ending, coming up, that it affects pretty much everybody, just over half of businesses being impacted. It's not a surprise there. All I can say to these people is, reach out to what support there is around you, and the chamber is a fundamental part of that. So if you are struggling in some way, or unsure how your business could adapt, or what support there is available, that's what the chamber is about as a point of call. If you're a chamber member, pick up the phone, have a conversation, voice out, ask the question, what support is there available for me? And if the chamber doesn't have a direct solution or service there and then, at least it's a first starting point. It's a signpost for you.
Right. And speaking about the chamber member experience, a question that came to us is, if I signed up to become a member of a chamber tomorrow, what would my experience look like on day one? I don't quite know what to expect.
Right. I am going to lean slightly to the left, because I know Sonny is the man for this. So he's actually within the panel here, so we can either answer that question through our chat, or we can pull him in, or somebody contacts him. But I'm a volunteer on the board, so I don't get involved in the day-to-day side of it to answer that question specifically. But what I can give is a high-level overview. And Sonny, I'm sort of looking.
No, that's perfect. So Sunny I can see Sunny is in the chat. And so we'll, Sunny, if you could comment in the chat and respond to that question, that'd be great. Because we do have another question that is more high level, and I think be interesting to discuss is, what do you think the effects of local lockdowns will be on economic recovery and differences across the regions?
Okay. If I put my own personal hat on, slightly different from the chamber as such, the problem with local lockdowns is there is uncertainty over the stats. It depends where you look, what impact they have. So if we take, say, on the way into the office this morning, listen to the radio, lockdowns happening around northern England, we're looking at closing restaurants and pubs again. Now, there's a very clear argument that people socialising, getting drunk in a pub is increasing the risks. But then people have been told to do that. And, the Eat Out to Help Out scheme as well, to sort of boost the economy. the two don't go together very well. So you either help the economy but take the health risk, or you look after the health and take the financial risk. And anybody would turn around and say, health, you have to think about your health first. You have to think about people's safety first. So with that in mind, the government needs to ensure there's the right level of support for businesses during those times. Local lockdowns they're putting a band-aid over a small area, I feel personally, because people travel out of areas. I mentioned earlier, our county is a logistics hub for the country. We have people traveling all around the country. So hypothetically, if we put Northamptonshire into a local lockdown, we've still got people traveling around the country as part of their business. It's a difficult one. I wouldn't want to be the Prime Minister and trying to make these decisions, because you help one, hurt the other. I hope I've sort of given a clear answer as I possibly can of how I feel about that, but it's not a great situation.
I mean, part of this current situation, as we've learned, is that we just can't predict what's going to happen, and it's really hard to see which way the pandemic will go, which regions will get infected, for how long they'll get infected. So I think predicting the future has become, it's not that it's always it was easy anytime, but it's become harder for, for the short term.
No.
With that, I know we're out of time. There's another question in the Q&A that we will take and address during chat. So the question was, what is your advice to small business that have traditionally relied on footfall and their physical space to operate? So why don't we take this question offline and talk about it in the chat windows, where, Richard, you can chime in, Sunny can chime in. I know my colleagues from GoDaddy would love to chime in, and so and as well as anyone else who's listening to the webinar. And with that, Richard, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you for the time. Thank you for sharing your data insights with us as well. And with that, we're going to pass the virtual microphone back to Sakshi.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you, Rana. Thank you, Richard. I'm delighted now to welcome Susie Sanders, founder of Alchemy Virtual Assistant. Susie started the business in 2016, I believe, and has seen her business continue to grow. Welcome, Susie. I'm really grateful for your time here. I know how busy you are running the business as well, so really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here, and it's wonderful to virtually meet everyone. So thank you very much.
Of course. Susie, before we start, actually, if you could give a little bit, if you could talk a little bit about your business and also how you started the business as well, please.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Well, yeah, I started my business a few years ago, and the reason for starting my business was my little boy. Actually, I worked I was an executive assistant for a global recruitment company, and when I had my little boy, I decided that as many entrepreneurs want freedom, flexibility, fulfillment, I wanted it all. I wanted to be able to have the challenging business and have the family life. That elusive work-life balance was the dream for me, and it's been quite a journey. And but I think I was quite clear on my purpose from day one. I wanted those things for myself, but I also wanted to help facilitate those in others as well. So, as a business, we do that in many ways now, but I think it's that it is that having that purpose and that passion around supporting people. That's very important to me.
Makes sense. Speaking about that as well, and if you could talk a little bit about some of the lessons you learned as you grew your business, and any sort of advice you can give from that as well to our attendees and panelists as well.
Thank you. Yeah, lessons. There's always lots, isn't there? I'm a firm believer that you never stop learning. And I've learned a lot, but I think the main thing for me is knowing what it is you're trying to achieve, what the end game is. Knowing to trust your instincts has been a huge thing for me. I'm very instinctive, I'm very intuitive, and I like to work with people and surround myself with people who align to my values. And I think the importance of that, coupled with the mindset thing. To me, success in business, which is so subjective and so personal, is all about mindset. And I think without that mindset, a lot of my lessons and challenges have always been, predominantly been self-created. I think, if I'm really honest, or I don't know how to do this, or is this good enough? Is this the right thing to do? All of this kind of stuff. Because I think if you've got your mindset in check and you've got the support from people around you who are aligned, you can overcome those challenges, those practical challenges. So I think that's it. Trusting my gut. And also, just because you are a micro business or a small business, you don't have to think like one. I think that's something I like to remind myself of daily. Even the hugest corporations started as micro businesses. We all, Amazon started from a garage, and I think, again, I like to remind myself, just because I'm technically a small business, I don't always have to think like one.
That's great advice, actually. And some of the biggest challenges you've seen as well, especially while scaling up your business as well, if you could sort of highlight some, and again, lessons from that as well to share.
Absolutely. So challenges, I think, on a more practical level, I think it's kind of echoing a lot of what's been shared today, previously, but I think it's you can't do it all. You can't do everything yourself. I'm a self-confessed control freak and a bit of a perfectionist. So that was a huge thing for me to kind of start to learn to trust and let go. And again, that's where I think the support element comes in. And I loved the bus analogy. You wouldn't put the bus driver on a different seat. And I think that is, for me, again, just because I'm a small business, I don't have to think like one. And I think it's important that you having spent years in a recruitment company as well, you have to have the right people doing the right things. And we live in such a great time where we can outsource and we can get support in so many different ways from so many different places. The challenges that I've faced, I've got through from my support network and the people around me, and I think it's multifaceted. I've got a very holistic approach to my business, and all the practical things, the advice and the support is there to overcome them. And for me, I think it's giving yourself the time and headspace to actually look at those issues. What are those challenges, and who do I need to help me overcome them? Because time and resource is so precious when you are a small enterprise. So I think, for me, it's been and on a personal level through COVID, I think the biggest challenge has been spinning all the plates, and the irony is not lost. As a virtual assistant business, we help entrepreneurs spin plates, but I've been working from home, I've been homeschooling, I've been doing all of those things, and on a personal level, that's been a huge challenge. And a lot of people did come to me at the start of lockdown, oh, you're a virtual home-based business, so things must be okay for you. And I'm thinking, no, we're all in this together, guys. We're just in very different boats. And again, the support, I'm very fortunate to have my husband, who's my business partner, and an incredible team of people behind me. And we are all there to overcome those challenges together. So I feel like I've gone off on one a little bit there, sorry.
No, all good, all great advice as well, actually. And there are a couple of questions about your business, and would be good to answer them first before we go into some more details. Could Susie give some further context on her business and what she does? So I think it would be good to sort of go through a little bit more detail on your business as well.
That's very kind, thank you. Yes, so we are a virtual assistant business. So we provide virtual outsourced flexible admin, PA and marketing support to predominantly micro businesses. As I do joke about this quite often, a lot of people, anything that they don't want to do is kind of labelled as admin. So there's a challenge in itself there. But essentially, we as virtual assistants, we have a team of very talented people with very diverse and broad skills. So we support in the kind of behind the scenes, day-to-day running. Most of our clients are smaller businesses, a lot of them online, either partially or exclusively, and home-based. So they're able to use and work with a virtual assistant to get some of the day-to-day processes, systems, things moving, and it allows them to focus on kind of what their core focus of the business is. So it's kind of like an alternative way to recruit and get the support, because personally, one of my personal purpose and for the business is that everybody feels supported, and just because you're a startup doesn't necessarily mean that you can't have access to some really great talent to support you scaling your business.
Oh, it's such a great idea, actually. And I'm pretty sure if we were to do sort of show of hands, everybody would say they need sort of a virtual assistant. So that's fantastic.
Thank you.
You spoke a little bit about sort of the people who work with you on virtual assistant alchemy. There was a question here which said a question about people as a commodity. How have you managed to keep your people engaged over the lockdown and delivering good standards?
That's a brilliant question. Yeah, and so important. I think, you know, we're used to being a virtual team. So you could argue we had a little bit of a head start, because working from home is challenging in the best of times. And I think it really comes, we've all been forced to kind of go back to basics, haven't we, as was said previously. And I think communication is absolutely key. And I remember at the start of lockdown, you know, we were regularly checking in with each other as a business, but obviously with clients as well. And I think you can't over communicate. And that's a culture that we have as a business. We're open, we're completely open and transparent with each other. And I think that you cannot over communicate and be honest and be open. And I think, you know, it takes great deal of courage to say, I'm having a really, really rubbish time. This is really hard right now. And I think that's an approach we have with our clients as well. We have a very transparent, open comms channel. And as a business, we've just been checking in. We had weekly check-ins, daily check-ins. We've got a WhatsApp, we've got a private community network that we communicate with. And I think it's embedding and reinforcing that we are all here to support each other. And there's no such thing as a stupid question. And again, it's that kind of ethos that we have within the business. And again, I know the team have been kind of just little things like sending postcards and sending Eloise, one of our team, sent some cakes to, they were having a virtual meeting with someone, and then she sent some cakes delivered so they can have cake together. And it's little things like that, isn't it, that do make a big difference right now, because we are all so disconnected, but also it's a really, I think it's a beautiful paradox of where we are at the moment. We are so disconnected, but we're more connected than ever.
Totally.
That, you know, we've got people from Paris joining this Northamptonshire event today that would never have happened if it wasn't for this. But again, it's kind of keeping that connection meaningful, I think.
Makes sense. And similar to that, actually, have you seen an uptick in people wanting to be virtual assistants as well, considering it can be done from home and all of that as well? So curious to know there.
Yes, yeah, we absolutely have, because we're a franchise business, so we do have franchise opportunities. Right. We've seen a huge increase recently, because, you know, to many, I say this, I don't want to diminish or belittle the severity of the situation that we all find ourselves in, but you can see hope, an opportunity, or chaos. And I think to many, with furlough and redundancies, a lot of people are seeing the perhaps perception that they had of this safe, secure job crumbling a little bit, and they're wanting to empower themselves and take control. And, you know, there are no guarantees when you run your own business, but at least you've got more control of what you can influence in your actions. And I think that's where the inquiries that we're having are coming through. But I think it's a very exciting time, because the virtual assistant industry has been expanding, but people are also recognizing the benefits of working with one as well. So with all the data and all the startups and all the businesses that are starting, you know, I believe there's always enough work for everybody. And I think it's incredible that people are feeling that they want to use this time to start their own businesses and become virtual assistants. They can work from home. We are a home-based team, but it's finding that balance between the rose tinted, oh, I'll start a business because it'll be fun, because it is, but it's really hard. It's really hard work as well. So yeah, thank you.
I'll just take a question from Susie Mitchell as well, very similar to what you've been sort of talking about also, but when you're a small business, you obviously don't have time to do everything. And how do you sort of figure out what is important, if to invest, not to invest as well, and if to cut costs or save costs as well, especially in this climate? Is it now a time to invest or cut back?
Oh, that's another great question. Thank you, Susie. I think I'll share my views. I think, yes, you're right. When you're a startup or a small business, you've got all the hats to wear and it is challenging. And you can't do it all. And I think start with what you know and grow. And if you know what the end goal is, what your priorities are, what your objectives are, then it's a lot easier to make those decisions. And if you're in tune with yourself and you're aware of what your limitations are and what your capabilities are, you can make those decisions a little bit easier for yourself. And I think for me personally, this is a time to invest. Reflecting on this year so far, we've as a business definitely upped our marketing, what we're doing, because I don't believe, yes, we've had to adjust and keep that sensitivity there, because there is there's so much going on. But to me, it's a time to invest. We are growing, we are here, and it's not the time to stop the marketing and stop your online presence and to stop keeping yourself visible to your audiences. So I think just to kind of go back and recap on that with the working out what to invest and what to juggling with the time, and I think again it's knowing your strengths, knowing what you want to be doing in your business, knowing what your role is in your business, and then looking at the gaps around that. And I think I think it's a time to invest. But yeah, but again, we're all so different, aren't we? Each business is so different. But I think you've got to continue to invest time, money, energy, whatever it is. I don't think as entrepreneurs you ever can take your hand off the handbrake a little. You can't stop, can you? Because just keep going.
Actually, what advice can you give businesses who are looking to, I don't know, restart or restart after lockdowns during the COVID period? A lot of businesses had to pause for whatever reason it may be, but any advice you can give sort of our attendees to jumpstart as well again?
Yeah, I think again it's an opportunity, isn't it, to reflect, pause, realign, and as was said earlier, I think I was so happy to see all of the data and the stats that have been coming out and those videos, because I wholeheartedly believe that the smaller enterprises, especially in Northamptonshire, we are lean, we are resilient, we have grit and determination, and we will thrive through this because we are used to adapting. And I think that it's taking the time. I think sometimes there's this pressure that you have to do everything right now, have to do everything, get it done, and I have to keep. And I think my advice would be take the time, take the thinking time to pause and evaluate what you need as a business, but also what your customers now need, because we have all been through such a huge change. I think take the time to reassess those needs and those purposes, and then form a bit of a plan and move forward from that. But I think it's that taking that reflection time to evaluate, I think is hugely important right now for us all.
Makes sense. And how important is your website actually to your business as well, Susie? And any tips you could offer to some of our attendees who are just starting out, either to build a website or refresh a website, especially during sort of right now, when literally everyone's online looking at working from home and so on?
Absolutely. I think it's absolutely key. And my very first website I cobbled together. It was really embarrassing, but I knew that I needed to have one. as a validation tool. If I was meeting to people and speaking to people, if you haven't got a website, you know, you have to, it's a given now, especially now. So I think, again, there is this, perhaps this is just a reflection of more how I operate, but I felt like I needed this big, all singing, dancing, expensive, jazzy website to start from. And I just hadn't got the time, funds or resources to do that. And I think my advice would be start and take the resources that are available from companies as GoDaddy. It doesn't have to be this big challenge that you set yourself. You can get a website sorted quite quickly, and I think it's absolutely crucial now more than ever, and it will grow. It's another element of your business that will grow and evolve with you. I think perfect doesn't have to happen right now. You will grow into that, and you'll, if you've done it right in the first place, it will all grow and evolve with you.
Makes sense. And just sort of continuing with that, and there's another question as well in the Q&A chat. How did you build portfolio of business owners to connect with virtual assistants? And did your website help with that? Any other channels you could recommend to our attendees as well?
Oh, great questions today. Yeah, I think, well, when I started my business, obviously we were able to network face to face. So that's been a huge part of my growing my business on not just from a connecting with clients perspective. And I think that it's, but again, we're able to still have those connections in different ways now. So I think connecting and networking and spending time with like-minded business owners is imperative. My website at the beginning was just that validation tool, but now as we've been evolving, we've continued to kind of develop and tweak and keep that running, and now we're getting a lot more traffic and a lot more inquiries through from our website, and it's the shift. So we're still networking. That's still the connection, and people are a huge part of what we do. As virtual assistants, we have a really close connection with our clients. You know, we like to take quite a strategic, holistic approach with the businesses that we're working with, because we know the demands of a small business, and wherever we can see opportunities to add value, we will. So we've got we've still got to focus on that, but the website just reinforces and strengthens that. And again, we're virtual, we've got clients all over the country. We're starting to get international inquiries, and without a website you can't do those things.
No. Last question actually, and because we are in Northamptonshire, what businesses or support groups are available in the region, and do you think it's a good place to start business as well, and any advice that you could offer?
Absolutely. Well, I'm a Northampton girl, born and bred. I have escaped, and then I ended up getting sucked back in. So I'm very, very proud of our entrepreneurial hub county. And yes, absolutely. I think it's one of the best places. I haven't started a business anywhere else, but I think it's the best place to start a business. And the support that is available, again, this has been really reinforced to me throughout this whole period. The chamber, obviously, get in touch and have a coffee with Sunny, but there are so many other networking and collaboration groups that are coming together now, and I think the time and efficiency saving of being able to do things online, I think is it's worth dropping in and checking out and making those connections. There is a lot of support. I'm a member of BNI as well. There's a lot of BNI chapters in the region that has been a bit of a personal lifeline to me. But I think there is so much out there. So go and check it out. Meet people. We're all navigating the same storm. So
makes sense. Well, thank you very much for all the quick Q&A and all the advice as well. I think it's been super, super valuable and very inspiring as well. Thank you, Susie. Thanks a lot for all your guidance. And also, thank you, Shalom, Richard, and Susie, and all of you attendees actually for joining today. I know how busy all of you are, so I really, really appreciate you being here, attending the event as well. I think Lizzie's just put the form for feedback in the chat as well. I'd really appreciate if you could fill that form up. We have a few more events coming up, so I would really value your feedback. And last but not the least, actually, we feature GoDaddy customers in all our marketing, in our comms. So I would really appreciate if you want to share your business on business story on one of these social channels with us. And who knows, you might be the business we feature on one of our channels or in marketing comms as well. But with that, I'll leave you with a small inspiring video for the rest of your day, but a big thank you from me and all the panelists as well. Take care.